difference you're making in the world. Clean choice energy makes it difference you're making in the world. Clean choice energy makes it difference you're making in the world. Clean choice energy makes it difference you're making in the world. Clean choice energy makes it
I see you shiver with anticipation. What's up, y'all? Welcome to game night, sort of, or game chat. I don't know, whatever. Cheers, y'all. Welcome. I'm your host, Edward. I imagine y'all know there. Most of those people. Go. Somebody say something. There you go.
Jackie.
JT.
Mike.
Gray.
And Paul.
All right. Y'all know most of these folks from live streams. And then JT is our resident war game guy out in Colorado. That's really what he is. I just lean on him for the war game stuff. So thanks, JT, for hanging out. Appreciate it.
You bet.
Mike shows up about once every leap year to bring weird esoteric games for us to come play. So, you know.
My pleasure.
I mean, seriously, I'm waiting for Cave Evil. Cave Evil soon, I'm hoping. All right?
Yeah, let's try and do that.
All right, cool. All right, so here's how this is going to work. We thought about, oh, hey, we can do a top 10 list. Everybody does those. That's boring. We could do a top 5 list. Twice as good, half the list. That's awesome. But no, and it's 9 o'clock at night on a Sunday night. Plus, it's still kind of my birthday. My birthday was yesterday, so we're going to do this the way I want to do, which is we're just going to talk about games. The end. So, what makes your number 2 game most anticipated as opposed to your number 5? Whatever. Who cares? It's arbitrary. So, we're just going to talk about games that may or may not be on your list. And I'm going to do very much talking. Very much? Really? That's new. I'm going to do most of the talking now, and then I'm going to shut up and let those people there do all the talking tonight. So, with that said, we do have a little bit of a structure, sort of. So that said, Ken, would you like the honor, sir?
Sure, I'll go first.
Okay.
So, first item on my list is the Queen's Dilemma. So this is a legacy game. It's horrible games, I think.
It is. Horrible guild. Horrible guild.
Because we don't play legacy games on stream. Maybe you guys don't know this, but I'm a huge legacy games guy. I love playing legacy games. So I got the Kickstarter for King's Dilemma, which is the game before this, during the pandemic, during lockdown, in fact, and played it 3-player with my wife and daughter, which is not optimal. Like it definitely should be at a higher player count, but still had a blast with it. And so when they announced the sequel, I backed it. Haven't seen anything to make me sad about what's gone on so far. I think it's going to be really good. I think there's a pretty decent chance it won't actually come this year, but if it does, I'm looking forward to it.
And I should note, these are 2024-ish games. Ish. So now explain this, because I have King's Dilemma back there. Yeah, I would totally be down to stream this thing, to be clear. Yeah. But now
we should do it.
My question is, because you've played it, like, do you know the answers or how that works in that regard?
I think if I played a different faction, it'd be fine. All the factions play pretty differently from each other, have different motivations, so it'd be fine as long as I just didn't play the same one I played before.
Okay.
So,
what I know about King's Dilemma from the box cover is I've seen Edward strike this pose too, like this, just like this.
Yeah.
Usually when I'm on the stream.
How much of a legacy game is King's Dilemma? Is it actual destructive, tear things up?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, more or less, like a lot of thinning cards, a lot of like putting stickers on things. It's pretty high change stuff.
And does the legacy element have a meaningful impact? Does it
absolutely
nicely?
I mean, it's there's a big narrative, but it's also got a pretty big game mechanical impact, I would say. So, yeah, I mean, it's a fairly light game actually. But it's all above the table. Like it's all about trying to understand what your opponent's motivations are and figure out how to get what you want while also maybe stymieing them. So
it strikes me as like the voting for the new law phase of a game like Twilight Imperium or something, but like they took like, what if that was the whole game where everyone is negotiating with each other about this new law that's going to pass and it's going to affect the rules of the game, and then you do that like 25 times and that's the game.
Yeah,
I'm in. I'm down for that.
The new one's a little more complex apparently, so it's got more going on. There's actually stuff that happens on a physical map space. So
how many like sessions is a campaign?
I think it was like 21 maybe.
Oh,
20.
It's that many. Okay.
Yeah, but they're short, like an hour and 15 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Queen's Dilemma. Sequel to King's Dilemma. All right. Cool. All right, Jackie, you're up.
All right. Well, I will be the opposite end of the spectrum from some of the more war game heavy folks in this group.
Balance is good.
I'm starting us off with a game called Stock Exchange. Stock like a stalk of a flower. This is slated to come out later this year. It's designed by Christopher Ryan Chan, and the artist is Diana Beltran Herrera. It is a bit of a trading, kind of planting a garden to increase the worth of different types of flowers. You've got some screens, so your portfolio is hidden from all other players. I'm a sucker for a plant aesthetic, as my background may indicate to you. But this doesn't seem like a mechanic that we have in many of the games in our current collection at our house. So I'm excited for this one.
I mean,
Probably
my
more
initial
in the medium range.
knowing nothing about it, my initial thought is very like tulip bubble-esque is the vibe kind of that I'm getting from this, which is not altogether a bad thing, I would say.
Yeah.
Do you know if it's the kind of game where you can manipulate the market to set or cause it to crash to drive one or more players to complete ruin?
Yeah, there is a market crash mechanic at the end for whichever flower is actually valued the highest.
I love it.
Which can take somebody right out at the knees, which, adds a little spiciness to your garden, I suppose.
I love me a
Come
good
on.
market manipulation game.
Yes, same. And I mean, Happen Goot is about as basic a market manipulation game as you can get, yet is one of my all-time favorites. So
Yeah.
Dig it. I'm in. Okay. Plus, I mean, the pun.
Sure.
Right? I mean, I'm all for it. So I'm in. All right. So smooth transition from that. What you got, JT?
An esoteric war game that no one's ever heard of before.
Coming
No,
strong.
hopefully people have heard of this. So I'm going to start with Red Dust Rebellion. This is volume 12 now in the GMT's coin series. And this is the first one that is not based on a historical conflict. So it is in the future, year 2250, it is based on Mars. And I'm going to read just this little snippet because I think it does a really good job of describing what it's about. It says, over the years, the people of Mars have formed their own culture and identity and want more say in their own rule. To many, Earth is a remote world with too much control over the Martian affairs. Furthermore, Earth's corporations have too much power over life and death. Some long for a green Mars covered with oceans and life, and others recoil at the idea that humanity will destroy the climate of another planet. So it is your typical coins game with 4 different factions that are playing against each other. Each have their own win conditions. And this one is, I think, pretty unique because it's, like I said, a totally made up scenario. And I've always loved coin games before just because you have to learn the history and you get into it. And always learn about this conflict that sometimes I didn't even know existed. And this is one that it's just pure fantasy in the future. So I love all the coin games that I have played, which is, I think, 7 of them now. But this is the first one that I think I've been really excited about for the last couple of years.
To me, this initially, hearing you read that, my initial thought, I kid you not, was The Expanse.
Oh yeah, Earth and Mars have been stepping on the necks of the Belters for 100 years, and I didn't want to be the boot.
This is like Expanse or coin takes on The Expanse. I'm in. I'm 100% in. Yes. Yeah.
This. The IP it makes me think of, although it's not related to anything, is the Kim Stanley Robinson Mars trilogy. Because there's a lot going on with that in that one with the greens and reds, like people who either do or don't want to terraform Mars. So that's the vibe I'm getting. But this one's on my list too. It seems like it's going to be really cool.
And this may show my age, but my first thought on this was the old Arnold Schwarzenegger movie, Total Recall.
Oh yeah, yes. Get to Mars, Quaid. Get to Mars.
Yeah. I was going to put this on my list because I am interested. Unfortunately, coin games aren't something my regular group is really interested in investing in. But I feel like
make the drive. I'm just saying, make the drive down here.
That's more to do with kind of the historical stuff and I think a sci-fi theme maybe will whet their appetite a little bit better. Maybe get them to take the plunge into learning it. So I left it off my list, but it's definitely what I'm excited to learn more about and see as it comes out later this year, hopefully.
As the group here gets more and more into coin games, I eventually imagine when everything's said and done and heavy cardboard is no more, we will have hit all, if not all, of the coin games, because I think all, kind of like what JT said, it either brings my attention to something, some sort of insurgency or conflict that I know nothing about whatsoever, or that I do know something about. Again, the Expanse-esque. I love it. I'm excited for it. I'm looking forward to it. Definitely on my list. So, yeah. All right, Mike, hit me.
Come off mute here. So I'll start with my most anticipated game. It is The Old King's Crown. This is like a asymmetric multiplayer lane battler with bluffing and hidden information. I'm kind of on a conquest to find like a multiplayer version of Netrunner, Android Netrunner, for anyone who played Android Netrunner out there. To me, Android Netrunner is like a perfect game, but the player count kind of limits how often I get to play it. So anytime I see something pop up with multiplayer, lane battling, hidden information, bluffing, deceit, that sort of stuff, I'm in. And then, Edward got the art up there. I mean, I think it looks gorgeous. This is Eerie Idle Games. It's their first game. It sounds very interesting to me. I love all those things. I love hidden information. I love bluffing. I love, kind of like a poker game feeling in a board game, right? Where you can bluff your way to victory or lie your way to victory, whatever. And it seems like it has some of those gears and levers. And, once I saw the art and started learning more about it, I was definitely sold on it. So.
Unpack lane battling a little bit for those that are unfamiliar with that.
Yeah, so basically you have like multiple battle zones, right? And everybody's playing cards face down to those lanes, and then you resolve, within that battle or that lane. Sometimes it's who has the higher strength, right? In Netrunner, you're running as a runner, you're trying to break into the corporation servers, right? So you have to go through all their defenses before you can do that. In this game, I think it's more like you're trying to, you have a herald, I think it's called, is like your representative going to the different spots on the board, and you're trying to win that location through powers on your cards. The powers on your cards might allow you to interact with another lane or another battle outside of that, or switch to another one. So you kind of have that deceit and bluff going on. I haven't played it yet. I think it is available on TTS, or there are people who have done play testing, obviously. But it has a mashup of all that weird esoteric stuff that I guess I have a reputation for. So yeah, definitely excited for it to come in. I think it looks great. I think if it lives up to the billing on those mechanisms, for me personally, I think it'll be one that I could see playing a lot. So.
To me, battle line is the quintessential
right, exactly.
lane battling, right? So
right.
You're trying to win 3 of the 5 or 5 of the 7 or whatever, 4 of the 7, whatever. So, okay.
Right.
All right. I just figure for folks out there that are unfamiliar with the term. But no, the artwork looks really cool. I'm digging it. I know nothing about this one, so that I'm
it seems to have flown under the radar. I mean, I don't know if anyone else has heard about it. I don't know if anyone comments. I can't see the comments, but it definitely seems like it's flying under the radar. Once I get it, I'll be happy to, in the next leap year, come down to game day and play it.
Awesome. Yeah, I think it looks cool. I dig it. I'll be honest, I didn't know you were a big Netrunner guy. All right, that's cool.
Yeah, huge. Yeah, it's probably my favorite game of all time. I think it's like the most perfect game that's ever been made.
So are you still playing the I forget who's kind of shepherding the IP?
The null signal games. Yeah. So I've switched to that like startup format.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really play in tournaments. I mean, I play on gintechie.net a lot. When I'm just bored looking for something to do at night, I'll just go fire up some games. I only collect the Project Nisei. Well, it used to be Project Nisei, now it's Null Signal Games. I only collect their cards and use those. They have their own tournament legal cards and decks and stuff. So
yeah.
I've move to that, and I think it's great. I think it gives you everything you want in the Netrunner experience. It gives me everything I want in Netrunner experience without there being a billion cards that you got to spend a lot of money to try and get or proxy them. I'm not good at crafts and DIY stuff, so I would spend $1 million, but I'd rather not. So then I just play the null signal game stuff.
I'll tell you, I love deck building games, but that is hampered by the fact that I suck at deck building games. I made one good Magic deck 15 years ago, and my friends were like, huh, Paul, you made a good Magic deck. And then they were like, and now we'll just counter it. And I never made another good Magic deck ever. But that's why I like Dominion. I have all of Dominion. And I just played Edward's copy of Millennium Blades, which I really dig. But I also discovered Project Nisei, which is now called
Null Signal.
Null Signal, yeah. And I have it, the box right up there, and it's great. If anyone, I highly recommend it. If you want to pay them for their trouble, buy a pre-printed set from them, or get the print and play and do it yourself and put it into sleeves. It's great. Get some Magic commons. Go to a tournament, dig through the garbage, get some lands or commons that people are throwing away, and sleeve a bunch of cards.
Yeah, I should point out that the Old King's Crown is not a deck builder, but it is a hand management. It's very asymmetric. Lots of, there's 4 factions. I think in the Kickstarter expansions, maybe it adds 1 more. I don't remember. But they all have their pre-built decks that play vastly different. I also like asymmetry. I think, I think there's lots of games where there's no asymmetry, but I really like games with asymmetry where people are playing kind of different games or have wildly different impact on the game state outside of the box, the regular rules of the game or whatever.
Dig it. All right. So Old King's Crown. Nice. All right, Shrey.
All right. Well, I'm going to go with the expected game that's been my most anticipated game since it went on P500 in 2021, and that is Bronx Expressway. And amazingly, we got to play the game at HeavyCon with the designer, Non-Breaking Space. Fantastic person, and this is it attempts to model the development of the South Bronx from 1942 to 2000. I think a standard game is 2 decades, so we played 40 through 50, and but I think you could conceivably play the whole thing, like the entire 60 years. Which seems kind of crazy to me, but you could do it.
That takes it to an extreme. Yeah, that would be a big game. That'd be really, really big.
It is. It's under the banner of the Irregular Conflict series for GMT, which is coin adjacent. I'm not I played a few coins and they don't really stick for me, but I want to try some more of this series to see how I feel about it. And this one was this subject matter really drew me in. I read The Death and Life of Great American Cities in college, and I recently picked up a copy just to reread it. It's and just this time period, the development of New York City, and in this case, how the South Bronx is fascinating, and all the craziness that happens around there. So I'm super stoked that this is getting this kind of subject matter is getting attention in a game, and really excited to finally get a copy. Hopefully this year. Hopefully at the latest early next year is what I'm hearing. So
yeah, what not NB or Non-Breaking Space? What he said was they're shooting for by the end of this year. Hopefully so. If not, I'm sure it'll be soon. Q4, Q1 25, somewhere in there. And the artwork that I'm showing folks at home right now, this is all outdated. And NB said when we saw this at HeavyCon that he would prefer not spoiling any of the artwork to where the first time somebody sees it is when they open the box. I think that's impossible to be able to do, but I love the idea of it and the history of this. It was a nasty, nasty time going through history I've learned, again, talking about things that I was unfamiliar with, and listening to the passion that NB talks about with this, definitely has me pretty jonesing for this. I'm really looking forward to this, for sure. And having actually been able to actually play it as opposed to just play like 2 turns of it at HeavyCon was a nice treat. That was awesome.
Yeah, I didn't get a chance to play it, but every person I talked to who did play it said they loved it. So I have no bad reviews so far that I've heard about this one.
I think everybody who likes coin games, I think, is going to be interested in this, and those that aren't but are interested in various aspects of history, if this tickles your fancy, I think this might be easier to get into, even if it can be kind of opaque as far as how you're trying to win, because I think a lot of coin games suffer from that in a lot of ways. And this also has some of that. But that said, if you like coin games, you're probably going to dig this. So, yeah. So, also, if not my #1 most anticipated game, it's definitely high on my list as well. So, I'm looking forward to this one.
Yeah, and the other Irregular Conflict series games, I'm also eager to try the Guest for Robin Hood and Vijayanagara, which
Vijayanagara, right?
Yes, it just came out. So I think they both just came out. So hopefully we'll get to try soon.
I feel confident that we're going to be able to. So yeah, for sure. All right, Paul, hit us.
I'm going to bring it back down a little bit here, away from the obscure war games and the grand historical themes. And I'm actually, Edward, I'm going to drive you nuts. I'm going to give you a twofer because they're 2 games that are similar. Keeping you on your toes. One of them is coming out from Bezier Games called Sears Catalog, and not the catalog named after the is it now completely bankrupt and out of business, or they're just like maybe 1 or 2 out in like, you know, Peoria or something? Sears Catalog. It's one of these games. It's a game where they encourage you to try to accomplish your goal, but don't accomplish it too much. I think you try to want to be almost out of cards. And if you have 5 or fewer cards, it's a shedding game. And at the end of the round, if you have 5 or fewer cards in your hand, the lowest value on those cards is worth positive points. But once you get down below that threshold, you can't pass anymore. So you need to make sure that you have cards in your hand that are going to, you need to try to make sure that if you're not going to be the person to go out, that you don't end up getting rid of the wrong cards in your hand by the time it's too late. It's kind of like running downhill, and you're just like, I could run down that hill, and then you realize halfway down that you actually aren't in control of your legs anymore. And to make things stickier, there are artifacts that you can play as well that can compel other people to play, or can make your cards a little bit better, that kind of thing. And then I really like the kind of kitschy 1960s aesthetic. I really dig that. I think it's really clever. The other game that I was
wait, nope.
Oh.
2 things on this.
2 things.
before you even get a chance to go somewhere else.
Yeah.
Taylor's Trick Taking channel.
Yeah.
If y'all know him, that's the designer of this one. So this is Taylor's game.
It's a remake of an old game of his. Yeah.
It is, and we're doing a stream of this very, very soon.
Great.
So good news. You're going to get a chance to play it.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to it.
I've already pre-ordered it. I've already pre-ordered it. It looks great.
All right. So now you can continue. Go ahead.
The other game that's in the similar vein is called the Icarus Club, and that's by New Mill Industries, by Daniel Newman over at New Mill Industries. He's lately been going over to Japan and finding and sampling the crazy trick taking and other games that they have over there, and then working to bring those over here to America. And this is a reprint of, or an updated or a refresh of a game called Backhander. in which it's another game where you don't want to have the most points at the end of the game, because whoever has the most points at the end of the game gets arrested by the police and can't win. So you want the second most points in the game in order to win. Which is it's tricky enough already, no pun intended. But what they also do, and if you can find a picture to represent this, there's a series of cards laid out. I think it's 12 or 13 cards, and those suits of those cards will determine the trick, or the lead suit for each of those tricks. So everybody knows for each trick in the hand what the lead suit is going to be. Again, that's a twist, but the winner of each trick can then take one of the cards from that trick and change the lead suit. So what you see at the start of the game, here's like the 12 or 13 lead suits over the course of this trick, that could change. Someone could say, you know what? I want the fifth trick to not be this suit anymore. I want it to be this other suit. And now this strategy you may have developed for how the hand is going to play out is now thrown into chaos. Both of those are games that kind of encourage you to not be the best. They want you to be the second best. And that is a lesson I think we could all stand to learn. Don't be the best. Just be below the first best. And everything will work out fine.
All I need to know about it, coupled with everything you just said, was the person who posted these pictures that I'm showing on here. It's James Nathan. So, because of course it is, and he works at CMYK now, and is bringing a bunch of these really obscure Japanese trick-taking type games over here to the States. So
great.
So yeah, there you go. Now, not this particular one, but the fact that I see James Nathan on there, it kind of puts me
even associated with it.
Yeah. So, all right. So that is the Icarus Club. Originally published in 2021, apparently. All right.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. If I knew we were going to have games from previous years, I would have mentioned one that's getting reprint this year, which is another one from New Mill called Seven Prophecies. But we're not doing that, are we?
No. Also on my list, but I don't need to talk about it here.
All right. Good. All right, Ken. Back to you.
Back to me. Okay. Next one I'll talk about is a game that definitely was on my most anticipated list. I played it once, but I would still say it's on my most anticipated list because it's the kind of game that you need more than one play to really get to. So this is Galactic Renaissance by Christian Martinez. So I'm a massive fan of Inish, which is Martinez's prior game. So I was very stoked about this game. So I got to play one time at HeavyCon. And saw enough to intrigue me. It was a full-on stumble through of a play. Like the game wasn't even out of shrink, so we had to punch it, learn it, play it on the spot, which is never ideal. But found a lot to interest me. It's definitely a game where you can convince yourself without thinking too hard that you're taking actions to benefit you, but everything you do actually goes into a shared space. And so things you're doing are likely to benefit other players as well. And so understanding that dynamic is pretty key. And the other thing about the game that I think is a little new for me is it's sort of a deck builder. And manipulating the order in which your cards come out is really key, I think, to playing well. So it's another one of those where it might seem like a good idea to try to get as many fancy new cards as you can. But actually, I think in practice, you want to keep your deck fairly lean. Otherwise, you're not as efficient as you can be. So I think that very much like Inish, I think I'd be surprised if anybody played Inish one time and was like, wow, that game's great. It's a game that reveals itself on.
I have questions about that when you're done.
And I think this game is if it's going to be great, it's likely to reveal itself on multiple plays too. So I'm excited to play it more.
So I played this. Well, played it. at the Gathering of Friends with Arnaud, who owns Matago, the publishing company that put this out. And Christian, I believe, is an in-house designer for Matago. Don't quote me on that, but I think so. So needless to say, Arnaud has played it, 1 or 100 times. And he showed me just how well somebody can play that game. And one of the interesting mechanisms about this game is towards the end of the game, I believe that the trigger for the end of the game is like 30 points. And if at some point you have between 20 and 30, you get reset back to 20. So you can't, when a scoring happens, you need to be able to score those final 10 points or so all in the same bucket. And if you can't, then it resets and rinse and repeat, do it again until somebody can. And I thought that's a pretty fascinating just way to score and a way to put a speed bump or a limiter on players, unless they're like Arnaud and will just absolutely wreck your world. I scored 1 point. One. I scored one, but I didn't get skunked. Anyway, I when I'm playing this game, it's really funny how I was like, oh, okay, so Ken's gonna like this, John's gonna like this, Kyle's gonna. So like I'm thinking of specific people popping into my head on who is going to like this within our group. Whereas like I was thinking, yeah, Shrey, maybe not. Fowler, maybe not. But there are certain, like, it's funny how certain games just, you can pinpoint accurately, and I was able to do that here. So I'm not surprised to see this on your list at all. I'm excited to play it more, for sure.
Inish had two things that like you said, it's funny you said, you play it for once and you don't really see, you don't really form a necessarily always a positive opinion of it. And that's exactly how I was with Inish. The idea, the need to really fully understand all 13 of the cards that you would draft around and really understand how they all interacted together was not something that I felt like I was capable of doing or interested in doing. And the other one was like, oh, so-and-so is about to win. Let's all beat up on them for a round to make sure they don't win. Does that do either of those things apply? Because I've heard this too, that Galactic Renaissance is like Inish in space. Do either of those things apply? It sounds like Edward said that, yeah, the 20 to 30 point thing. So if you think you're going to win, you better make sure you can, you make sure you can cross that threshold. What about you'd mentioned that there's more of a deck building aspect here.
Yeah, it's deck building. So there's nothing you can do about where your opponent's cards are.
Okay.
Other than maybe do things to make them waste their scoring card. Because I think the way the game is structured, everybody's scoring card only comes around once per cycle.
Okay.
But there's a lot of stuff you can do in the shared space to make things harder. But I think most of the things you do to make things harder on your opponents will also make them harder on you.
They can, depending on the scoring conditions, because scoring conditions, there are 3 different scoring conditions, and they only get revealed as players advance up the scoring track. So what the first one or first 2 are, whatever it might be. It's 2 or 3, whatever. And the picture that's shown right there shows the number of cards that you're going to be able to draw. And so as you do certain actions and you put out certain components, it allows you to draw through more cards to be able to cycle through your deck quicker. So if this is the type of thing that sounds interesting to you, I think you're really going to enjoy it. If it doesn't, it's not. I mean, there are just certain people that are going to bounce off this real hard. And so if, again, kind of Inish-esque in that regard, if you bounced off that, this ain't going to draw you into it.
The Kickstarter, when it came and went, I was this close to backing it. I was this close, and I was like, this I think needs to be a wait and see. So I'm excited. I'm excited to see how it turns out.
Cool. All right, Jackie.
All right. Next up on my list is a game called Wondrous Creatures, which I believe kickstarted earlier this year and is due out later this year. So it is a worker placement game where I am compelled by components. Meeples ride meeples. You do have...
There you go. I can't spell. Sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, no worries. Workers have evolving abilities. Based on what I've seen of it, it seems like if you didn't have a central board where there were ever evolving resources and you were navigating, it would be a multiplayer solitaire style game as you build a tableau, much in the like Wingspan world. But you do have this center world that everybody is navigating with their meeples who get to ride other meeples, which is just very cute, to gather resources, develop their characters further, to get more of those abilities and work towards your ultimate goal of getting your most ideal tableau. So I am a sucker for aesthetic. Maybe a theme that you guys find as I go through my list in some ways, shapes, or forms. But it has a nice fantasy, kind of reminds me of a book that would be in my kiddo's room, art style to it. So yeah, that is as far as I can see what Wondrous Creatures is going to look like.
So for me, I always like to see what a game looks like just on the table and kind of like what it says to me. And, when you're describing it, I was like, okay, maybe we'll see. All right. But then actually seeing the picture of it here on the table, I think it looks pretty interesting. Like it's compelling. So I'm not going to lie, the meeples writing meeples is kind of a great thing. I dig this. This is awesome. I'm in. All right. I know nothing about it. Anybody else? No, she's alone on this one, ain't she?
I feel like that might also be a theme to my choices. For some reason, they don't overlap with esoteric war games or.
Look, man, it's 8.1 on BGG, and that, I know ratings can be manipulated and that sort of thing, but like typically when something is 8 or more, when it's not even out yet, I at least take a look, right? And I remember the Kickstarter for this, and another one of those where I was just like, look, man, I am a Kickstarter junkie. I'm all over the place on it. So, but like, again, another one where I was like, maybe not. But it's good to know that someone I, am affiliated with is excited about it.
And it's a worker placement, so I'm in.
Exactly.
Dig it. All right, cool.
Well, Paul, I'm a recovering Kickstarter junkie. I'm trying to get a handle on that one. All right. So my next one is called World Order. If anyone's familiar, I think everybody in this group is with Hegemony. This is from the same group that brought us Hegemony, but it is more of a world, a world interaction, world politics kind of game where. The 4 factions in this game are, I believe, the United States, the Russian Federation, the European Union, and China. And so all 4 of those different entities are trying to vie for diplomatic, economic, and military influence over the rest of the world. And this is, I think that you would compare Hegemony to being more coin-esque, at least in some of the asymmetry and the different actions that are available to each faction. This one, if I understand it correctly, though, they are taking that asymmetry and building it into these pre-made decks for each of the different factions, and then you are deck building throughout the game, so adding and removing things from your deck as you play, and then vying for area control on the map to see who has the most influence in the world. So just based on how good Hegemony turned out, I'm excited for this one. And I am excited about the kind of deck building aspect to it.
That pretty much echoes everything that I think about it as far as, okay, Hegemony was a win. Cool. And they're coming up. I want to see what they're going to do next. And this is next. So I'm in. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I guess I didn't realize this was expected that quickly, like sometime maybe 24 or early 25. It would have definitely made my list if I'd known that. I've had my eye on it. Loved everything about Hegemony that I've seen. Guess I didn't have my eye close enough on this to know it was, coming up soon.
This is one that's listed as 2024, but I'd be shocked if it's really here in 2024.
Yeah.
Right.
Agreed. Apparently they showed it off at UK Games Expo, which was last week. So yeah, my guess is there's almost no chance this is 24, but I'm okay with that being on the list. Cool. All right, Mike, what you got?
For me, so my next one, maybe a little bit of a cheat. It's kind of a reprint, but it's Guards of Atlantis 2. So there's another Kickstarter that's going to be delivering maybe in 24, maybe 25. And I love Guards of Atlantis. For those who don't know, it's a team-based MOBA style, so multiplayer online battle arena game where you play heroes and you're trying to kill minions to get coins and level up your guy or kill your opponent's heroes, pushing the lane, right? So there's battle areas and you want to push it into your opponent's throne room, or they want to do it to you. It's really clever. It's got like a ton of like nice card play. In a round, you just play 4 cards, right? So everybody plays a card, then you resolve them in initiative order. You do that 4 times, and that's a round. So it's pretty quick and easy, but there are like big decisions to be made. Plays 2 versus 2 all the way up to 5 versus 5. It's a lot of fun. So the update that's coming out next does some balancing in the cards. There's another expansion with more, I think 5 more heroes in it. So add to the variability of the game and discover new heroes and new ways to play the game. I'm not really a big dudes on a map game, but this one like really resonates with me. It's a lot of fun. So I don't know if anyone else is into it or playing it, but I'm excited for this.
So this would have been my #1 most anticipated game in 2024, but I left it off because it was technically a reprint. But it does have 2 new hero packs that are maybe qualify it as a 2024 game.
That was my loophole. That's where I went with JT. It was like, well, there's new content coming, and they're rebalancing the cards of the existing game. So. Yeah,
Hey, I'm okay with y'all highlighting games. I'm not going to be that big of a stickler. I would say that it would not qualify for, say, like the Golden Elephant Award for 2024 type thing. However, but no, that's fine. Yeah, this is very much not my cup of tea. But I've heard that Guards of Atlantis 2 completely, like, don't even ever play the first one versus 2. Am I remembering that correctly? Like 2
I
is
couldn't
just...
tell you. I never played the first one. I didn't hear about it till the second one came out.
All right.
Same.
Okay, that's what I've heard. Like, how sometimes, do I get the first edition, second? No, from everything I've heard, if I'm remembering correctly, just Guards of Atlantis 2, don't bother with 1. So
yeah, I mean, if I saw this on the store shelf, I would probably say, that's not really for me either. But then I played it and tried it with someone else's copy, and it's just so clever. Like, the cards, there's initiative, there's primary ability, there's defend, move, attack. There's different things, and you only get to do one of those things every time you play a card. So you have difficult decisions to make, and the state of the game can change so much between when you play your low initiative card at 3 and 4 other people or 5 other people, whatever, have gone ahead of you. Now you have to decide, like, okay, what do I do with this card and how do I set it up for my next turn? So it's a lot of clever, like, chaining in that way. It's pretty fast paced, in my opinion. There's exciting moments. I think it's a lot of fun. So I was pleasantly surprised, and now I'm like all in, right? I'm buying the latest stuff. I'm updating the card decks, that sort of stuff. So I think it's a lot of fun.
that's fair. Like Millennium Blades should not at all be my kind of game, yet I absolutely love that game. So that's fair. I get it. I totally get it.
All right, JT, next Heavy Con, JT will do a 5 versus 5 tourney.
Oh yeah, and this is totally my kind of game. So
perfect.
Awesome.
All right, I'm up next. So I'm going to go to 7 Empires. That's the numeral 7 Empires. This is designed by Matt Gertz and published by PD Verlag. It's supposedly coming out at Essen this year. It is in the family of Imperial, if you know Matt Gertz's Imperial, and Imperial 2030 is the other one in that style. And this is a 7 Empires set around, I think, the 1750-ish, that time period. There's not a ton out there about it. I understand that it's not strictly like an investment game like Imperial is, and you don't have each player controlling a country. People can control multiple. People can control. The same country can be acted upon by different players. In a, even if they don't have full ownership of it. But I don't really know much beyond beyond that. But it is Matt Gertz, and I always want to know what he's doing. Since Concordia is one of my favorite games, and I enjoy most of his other games. So yeah, just happy to see how this turns out.
I have no doubt that we're going to give it a go. Mm-hmm. I have no doubt that a number of folks are going to enjoy this. If this is built upon Imperial, I have tried so many times. I want to like the game, and I just don't. So I'm curious to see if this changes my mind. It takes it in a new direction. So I'm looking forward to trying it in that regard.
I'm surprised you don't. I mean, it seems like the kind of game you should like, right?
Yep. Again, like I should like Trois too, because the dice drafting game. I don't.
Yeah.
Just saying. Sometimes weird things just don't work. But hey, that doesn't mean don't want to try it. So, all right, Paul.
Here is another potentially controversial choice.
Madeira. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. No, go. Sorry.
It's Gloomhaven 2nd edition. Is that now, that is slated for 2024. It's probably we all know it's probably 2025, but Gloomhaven 2nd edition. Gloomhaven was my wife Laura and mine's pandemic game. We got it just as the pandemic started, and we just every night it was like, what do you want to do? How about Gloomhaven? And we would we just got lost in it. And it was fantastic. I painted the miniatures and loved it. All of my friends were always into D&D. And anyone who knows anything about the various D&D editions, my favorite edition was 4th edition D&D, which everyone hated because they were like, you took out like the theater of the mind and just made it a miniatures game. And I was like, yep, perfect. And it's no wonder that I got into other games like Warhammer and that kind of thing. Gloomhaven is brings me back to that time of 4th edition D&D where, look, I've got my story and I know why I'm doing what I'm doing, but I don't need to dwell on it. I don't need to talk in character. I don't need to make perception checks to make sure I can see if someone's shoelaces are untied or whatever. I just give me the reason why I'm killing all these guys and then let me go kill them. And it has just enough. If you play, by the letter or even by the spirit of the game, there's just enough information you can share with each other to where it's a complex puzzle without necessarily having my biggest problem in cooperative games, quarterbacking. One person just telling everybody, here's what you're going to do. And it's like, why am I even here? Gloomhaven really, it just naturally works out that everyone is so busy trying to figure out what they're going to do that they don't have time or the brain power to quarterback for other people. Gloomhaven was great. Their next game, Jaws of the Lion, was this little Target exclusive for $30 to get you into Gloomhaven to then bring you into the product. And then, as we maybe are all aware, Frosthaven came out, and chiropractors everywhere rejoiced when that game came out because that box is huge. It is a beast of a game, and we just got started on that. And I am absolutely excited for that 2nd edition of Gloomhaven to come out so that they can take everything they learned with Frosthaven, and I can revisit that city, and I can revisit those classes and revisit all the different scenarios and everything with the redesigned and updated stuff and see what's changed and get back to that city because it's great. I really, really enjoy it. There's not much more I can say about that.
I gather. If this is your thing, more of it. If it's not, it's not going to change it.
Nope, not going to change it. But if you were on the fence about, I already have Gloomhaven 1st edition. I haven't touched Gloomhaven 1st edition. Then maybe don't get the 2nd edition. But if you got the 1st edition and you loved it, and you're like, that was great, and maybe you said that was great, and you put it away, or maybe you gave it to someone else, and you really, really enjoyed it, I would say, give coming on back to the 2nd edition a thought. I know It's ranked pretty low on BGG right now, and that's because there's a lot of angry people for a variety of reasons. It's getting review bombed more than I've seen a typical big high-profile game get review bombed. Don't, you know, if you actually read their comments, I don't agree with a lot of them.
All right. So, hey,
for
if
it.
you dig it, you dig it. If you don't, you don't. And
Yep.
if you want to check it out, check it out. The end.
Yes. I'm excited.
Can I ask? I have questions.
Go ahead. Yeah, I will answer them.
How different is it from the first edition?
So my understanding is that
Well, here I was going to read this.
Read it.
The world, story, and challenging gameplay are all still the same, but there is a plethora, Jefe, of additional content to explore. Even for those who have played Gloomhaven before, this edition brings new material to the table with rebalanced and redesigned mercenary classes, items, scenarios, as well as brand new artwork, newly written narrative and events, updated plastic dolls, a new faction-based reputation system, and more.
Yeah. Frosthaven adds, actually taking care of and building up the city with buildings and that kind of thing. And I don't know if Gloomhaven's going to take it quite that far, but it sounds like they're going to take it further than it was in the first game, which was more or less just what's the prosperity level of the city, and that's it. And it sounds like they're going to take it like a notch above that. Because it's still meant to be the entry into the series. And then if you like that, then go into Frosthaven. But, it's not supposed to be Frosthaven +++ or whatever.
Do you guys feel okay with me spoiling something that's 6 years old?
Go ahead.
Sure.
I'm really okay with that.
Is it a Gloomhaven spoiler? Because my son and I are halfway through it right now.
Okay, I'll hold off then.
All right.
Okay. Sorry. I can close my ears.
No. You're good. You're
Earmuffs.
good.
Earmuffs.
I'll ask Paul later.
All right,
Okay,
here
ask
you
me
go.
later.
That's the way to do it.
What
All right,
happened to
Ken.
Mike? It looks like he's gone to Red Dust Rebellion.
Yeah, I think he has. Ken, what you got?
So next item up for me, I was gonna go with Red Dust Rebellion. That was the next item on my list. But since JT already talked about it, I'll mention Luthier, which is I think probably not actually coming out in 2024. But I watched a preview on it. It looks really cool. It's a sort of worker placement, but also auction worker placement, but also hidden auction worker placement. So you're placing a variable strength worker on a spot. You don't know what your opponents are doing, and then when everybody's placed all their stuff, you flip over, and then some people get strong action, some people get less strong action, maybe some people don't get anything at all. I think the theme is super cool. You're like building musical instruments. So
Dig it? Yeah.
yeah, this one looks really cool. So Vincent Dutrait, hard to argue with the artwork there. So
There was something about looking at that box where I was just like, that, yes. Oh, I'm immediately interested in about the presentation of that whole thing. And the theme, look, man, you could have easily made it Renaissance Traders in Italy, but I'm glad it's about something interesting.
Two things. One, Kickstarter apparently next month, which means number two, yeah, it's 2025, no doubt.
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
26 maybe.
Yeah, it's not going to be 24. So yeah, there you go. All right. It's by the same people that did Distilled.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well, there you go.
Yeah, it made my short list, and then I was like, that's not happening this year. So
Yeah. Thank you for playing along, Jackie. But no, it's fine. That's fine. All right. Speaking of Jackie, what you got next?
Next up, I've got Teagarden. And now this one, there's not a ton of information out on yet. They claim that the release date is going to be October 3rd. I doubt it. But this kind of caught my eye in that the resource growth mechanism is kind of fun. It's based on, witnessing the birth of tea culture in ancient China. So your resources that you have, if you have fermented tea leaves, they gain value over time. And if you have just traditional green tea leaves, they're going to lose value over time, which I appreciate. There does seem to be some pool or deck building components to it. There's definitely worker placement aspects to it. And like I said, not a lot of coverage on it out there yet, but the theme, some of the mechanics as they were explained in what I saw has my attention. So yeah.
It looks cool. Plus, you know me, I love a good tea theme. So, I mean, Formosa Tea was I think the most recent one that we got into, and that was a pretty big hit. So yeah, all right. Looking forward to checking that out. Cool. And the game length, 1.5 to 2 hours. So that feels like it's right in our wheelhouse. So sounds good.
Yeah.
Formosa Tea just got a second edition Kickstarter. Yeah.
Yep. That's probably why it was in the back of my head. But yeah, makes sense. JT.
Okay, next is Undaunted 2022 Callisto. So if you know the Undaunted series, we've had Undaunted Normandy, Undaunted Stalingrad, Undaunted Battle over Britain. One I think was in North Africa. And this is the next one. And much like Red Dust Rebellion, it is not based on an actual historical conflict. I think Callisto is, if I remember right, it's a moon of Jupiter. So it is a sci-fi in the future adaptation that uses this same the same card play and game mechanics that the rest of the Undaunted series have used. So this has 2-player, 4-player solo, which is awesome. And it's got, if you look at the cover, it is totally sci-fi and has big old mechs on it. I don't know if there's any miniatures in the game, but I don't think that your plastic dolls comment was lost on me, Edward. I hate it.
Oh my God, Edward, they're called miniatures.
They are action figures, all right? They're not G.I. Joe dolls. I'm having like PTSD from my childhood of my mom mocking my toys. Anyway, I love all the Undaunted series. I think this one looks like just awesome for the same reason that I think Red Dust Rebellion will be good. I'm excited to try this one out too.
And it's going to have a deck of cards to run a solo bot. I'm saying that because David Terzi did the solo. That's all I see on here.
That guy.
So, yeah.
That guy.
So, funny story, and it's going to be a 2-second story. When David Thompson, when I went to Circle DC 2 months ago now, it's funny. I know David Thompson from all his other games, and I was like, "Oh, right, you also did Undaunted.
Mm-hmm.
That's it." Yeah, that's funny. So
he puts out like a game a month, so all his other games is correct.
Well, no, Postman, help me out. The
Soldiers in Postman's Uniforms. So that solo series of
yeah.
Oh yeah.
So those are what I originally know him from. And that is because of Liz Davidson. And obviously Liz and David are joined at the hip lately because they're doing Night Witches and another spy game later, or that has to do with World War I spy stuff. So it's funny, like messing around, joking around with David at Circle DC. I was like, "Oh, you did Undaunted. Oh, okay. Probably most people know you from that, right? Yeah, okay. No clue. Oops. Anyway.
I wanted to mention something that I might be in the minority, but I don't like a lot of World War II games. I don't like having to play the Axis powers. I just don't. I don't like forcing an opponent to play the Axis powers. I feel like I don't begrudge other people. I feel like for me personally, like there are some historical conflicts that maybe shouldn't be gamified into like, aha, we the Germans have won, or because like something about that does not resonate with me. So when I saw this Undaunted series that everyone has extolled the virtues of, I was just like, just right on there, $50, yes, done, and like no questions asked. I was super excited. Thumbs up to that.
Just quick question on that. Are you comfortable playing the Mongols in any game?
This is an excellent discussion to be had. I would look, man. I will sit here and philosophize this until we have 0 viewers, and that'll be great for the channel. But specifically World War II games, I have no time for those. I don't think I have a single one in my house. I didn't even do Air, Land, and Sea. I insisted on getting the Critters at War version because I didn't want to be playing Axis and Allies. I don't even like playing Axis and Allies.
I'm not begrudging you that.
Yeah.
it's a discussion we will have on the channel, actually.
Absolutely.
I think, at some point, just maybe not
Sure.
tonight. Okay,
That'd
fair
be
enough.
great.
All right, Ken, go for it.
No, I think it's Mike.
Oh, you're right. Wait, it is because yeah, Mike. Sorry, didn't mean to skip you and Shrek.
People confuse me and Ken all the time. So.
You're like twinsies. I get it. Yeah.
So my next game is one I've barely heard about, but it's called Hex Effects. So this is a 2 to 8 player card game. I don't play a lot of card games with my regular group because we play once a week on Tuesdays from 7 to 10, and we want to play something that occupies that space and time. But recently, some coworkers and my manager and I have been doing like monthly nights at the pub playing games. And so we played Metro X and Six Nimid and Seven Wonders. And this can be at least 5 or 6 and up to probably 7 or 8. So I saw this game. It sounded kind of easy to play, funny. Basically, a take that style of game featuring hexes. So not the shape hexes, but like, put a hex on you hex that you have to cure using remedy cards, right? So you need like a specific number or set of cards to cure your own hex. But then when you do that, using all that new potion and medication, you open yourself up to other side effects, which are new hexes other players can give you. And, it sounded like something that me and my coworkers would, they're kind of light gamers or, mildly curious and interested in games, but not, certainly not going to pull out even Guards of Atlantis with them, right? So it sounded like something that was different, kind of fun, maybe funny, short table length at 20 to 40 minutes. Weight is 1. So I backed it, and I think the more I read about it, I think it'll be like a good time with this group over beers at the pub after work.
I dig it. I like the concept of it. Again, this is how you get more people into the hobby, right?
Right.
And also you have a chance to bring people in, show people a side of your world that they wouldn't normally be interested in.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
and you can make rump shaker jokes.
Yes.
You.
Beat you to it, didn't I?
Oh, it's because it's your show, my friend. I figure I can't steal it from you.
By the way, that's a Rex in Effects.
Yep,
Yeah.
I got it.
90s throwback. Thank you. All right.
Yeah, so I mean, I'll say Edward touched on all the reasons why I'm excited for this in 24. Like, it's not a super well-known game. I mean, Pillbox Games, shout out to them if they're listening or see this. They don't have a big work repertoire. It's not something that's going to win a bunch of awards, I don't think. But like, it sounds cool and sounds fun, and it sounds like something that for this group of players, with a kind of large player count, who's just casually playing over beers and burgers after work once a month, like it sounds like it's gonna be fun. So that's why I'm hyped. Introduce them to another thing that's different and kooky. And I mean, I always go for kooky anyway. But so yeah, there you go. That's
so John in chat asks, is this the same people who made the side effects card game? And the answer is yes, it is.
Yeah.
So
We have that one. We enjoy that one when we have a group just looking to casually play.
And play what you dig,
It's mental
right?
health based, which is fun. Yeah.
Dig it. Oh yeah, I see that because you see the cards that dig it. This is side effects to kind of call back to what you were just saying. So awesome. All right, cool. All right, Shrey. By the way, I want to say kudos to everybody. The fact that this isn't all like hardcore, 5-hour games. I'm glad that we actually have a mix of this. This wasn't planned. I didn't know what they were going to necessarily talk about. So, but I like this because let's face it, even those of all of us, heavy cardboard or heavy cardboard adjacent, we still start or end our game days with stuff that isn't just Democker and Hegemony and Horseless Carriage and fill in the blank. So, just saying. All right. Anyway, Shrey, go.
All right. So when Ken was talking about Luthier, Paul threw out the traders in the Mediterranean, aesthetic, and so I'm going to lean into that and talk about Ratafa, by Vladimir Suchi and published by Delicious Games. It's coming out in Essence Spiel. And Edward, if you want to, do you have that up? Yeah. If you want to read the first sentence from the second paragraph, I think you'll enjoy it.
In the game, players represent merchants who travel on business trips and buy and sell goods in the various cities in the region.
Doesn't that sound amazing?
You hooked me. I am in. I am all in.
So I like basically everything that Suchi has done, and so I'm eager to try this. This uses a modified or a similar version to of action selection that is in Underwater Cities, which is one of my two favorites of his. So I don't know much about this beyond that, but yeah, it'll I'm sure it'll be worth trying. It may not be a winner, but it's definitely worth trying for me, for someone who enjoys their Euros engines and resource management. This should be a reasonable hit for me, hopefully.
Two thoughts. One, anything Vladimir Suchi puts out, I'm curious to try. I have not bounced completely off of any of his games. Some, obviously, I like more than others. Looking at you, Shipyard, still my favorite. Underwater Cities with the expansion, I really, really enjoy. I really like Praga. I'm probably forgetting a couple others, but the point is, I think it's always worth exploring, number one. And number two, if it's Vladimir Suchi, that means it's his company, which is Delicious Games, which means it's Rio Grande, which means we're going to definitely feature it on the show at some point.
Yeah, the guy to me seems like he doesn't put out the same thing twice. Like when you're like, oh, it's a Suchi game, and it's like, oh, I know what you're gonna get. Like there are other designers where you say that, but like what you're gonna get with him is something probably different than the last thing he put out.
And apparently 2-layer boards that you build at home nowadays. Apparently that's a thing.
Fold them over, yeah.
I'm all for it. All right, whatever. Yeah, so looking forward to that. All right, Paul, what you got?
Next up is for me is Rock Hard 1977. This game I'm gonna confess a little bit to not really fully knowing exactly what this game is about, because I don't think they've actually told us what this game is about in terms of how you actually play it. My guess is it's probably a worker placement game or an action selection game. It is designed, but what I think is interesting is that who it's designed by, Jackie Fox. Now, Jackie Fox is the rock star name of the bass player for the Runaways, who would go on, the band that would go on to give us Joan Jett and Lita Ford back in the 70s. And Jackie Fox, yeah, Jackie Fox is just killing it. You read Jackie Fox's Wikipedia article, and like she played in the Runaways. She let's see, I'm just looking right here. She is an entertainment attorney. She got a degree from Harvard, where, again, according to Wikipedia, Barack Obama was one of her classmates. She's a 4-time Jeopardy winner, and has graduated from UCLA in linguistics and Italian. This lady's just killing it, and now she's just like, I want to design a board game now, and the main description there on BGG doesn't have the full account of like what the game is supposed to be about. If you scroll down to a forum post where it's from a post from Jackie describing like, here's a little bit about what the game is about. And it just sounds like she's put all of her, at least attempted to put all of her experiences in what it's like being in a band. You've got daytime and nighttime and after hours, the 3 phases. And the part that I like here is there's apparently a part of the game where where you can recover. Also for recovering, daytime is for recovering if you've pushed your luck too hard, consuming candy, which might get you an extra action or two if you're willing to push your luck a little. But then she has to go in parentheses and say, and for the record, candy is only drugs if you want it to be. It represents whatever it is. Whatever it is your character does to get an edge, that thing that seems pretty harmless or beneficial at first, but which can become a problem if done to excess. And like the game is called Rock Hard. I was in when they called it Rock Hard. They had to stick the 1977 on there, but like, the game is called Rock Hard You got skin the rock star with the skin tight jeans and the back tattoo, and just like it definitely just seems to be like dripping theme. And I was like, and it's by Devere, you know. Devere, I haven't loved all of their games, but I respect them as a publisher. Again, putting out just consistently good stuff that even if I don't like it, I totally understand why other people do. And sign me up. I'm super excited for it.
Hey, so I'm just looking at the picture on here, and there's a little player board with a little dial that looks like a guitar amp.
Yeah.
And I just want to point out that the dial goes to 11.
It does go to 11. It's one higher. So like it's perfect.
I'm in for this.
I'm going to buy the game just for that.
Yeah. It's subtle. It's subtle. I had no idea that Jackie was a member of the Runaways. Like I knew the rest of it, but I didn't know that. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. All right.
Yep,
awesome.
I'm excited.
This is Gen Con release.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So what? 2 months.
Mm-hmm.
Thereabouts. Wow. All right. Okay, Ken.
Yeah, sorry, just looking at pictures of this. This is looking really cool. Okay, so my next one is
It's only drugs if you want it to be. Sorry. I love that. Yeah. All right. Cool.
My next one is Santorini, Riddle of the Sphinx. So this game is I'm not a huge abstracts guy.
Cascadero would like to stand up and be recognized and say, mm-hmm.
Yeah, I guess that is sort of an abstract too. But like 2-player positional abstracts, not really my thing. Like I've never played like Hive before, right? Like, but this is the game. Santorini is the game that I have played by far the most with my daughter. So it kind of has a special place for me. And we've just worn out the copy that we have. And so when this went on Kickstarter, so there's 2 parts to it. There's an expanded, sort of reprint of the main game. And then there's a second game that is sort of like a cooperative set. It's like a new player mode where you have to figure out puzzles together. I was just really excited because we've loved our plays of this game. Like the game it's fairly simple, right? Like you're taking turns. It's a standard sort of abstract. But the twist is that there's a little asymmetry. You always have like some kind of power that lets you do different things than your opponent. Yeah, I mean, we've like really played our copy out. So I'm stoked to get the new copy. I'm stoked for all the new player modes. I feel like it's gonna kind of give the game a new lease on life for us. And yeah, so it's looking really cool. Roxley, who is the producer of the game, always does a great job with their stuff. So I have no doubt it's gonna be good. So I'm excited for it.
Looks wonderful. It really does. And if you're into Santorini, more of that seems like a good thing. And you said there's a co-op mode, which, as I read it, that means it's a solo mode. So I'm excited about that.
/ solo, yeah, for sure.
Well, I mean, co-op equals solo. So yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
Any other Santorini folks here?
I'm in the same boat as Ken, though. I played this probably 50 times with my daughter. She loves it.
Good family game.
It really is. And it's beautiful. Like just from a aesthetic table presence standpoint, I think it looks really, really great.
I will also say, for those thinking about this kind of stuff, it's an awesome game to play with younger kids because there's an easy way to handicap. So like you can play with no power while they play with a power, or they can play with 2 powers, or right, like there's easy ways to like make it harder or easier for a player. So it's actually a great game to play with younger kids too. So,
yep,
awesome, cool. All right, Jackie.
All right. Well, this next one, I was like really hoping to lean into y'all for, hoping someone would talk about it before me. Said to John earlier, it was the one that I did the least amount of like little notes on. Just like everybody else is gonna have it on their list. But that's going to be Pampero, which some of
don't worry, I got you on this
played, so you can back me up here. Yeah. I know I have heard it is shipping currently to North America, so we are expecting our copy imminently here in this house. I'm excited about it because pedigree matters, right? So I'm a sucker for Ian O'Toole artwork. We know Mr. Lacerda did a lot of the development with Mr. Pombo.
Yes.
Honestly, just
and-
looking at the components, I want it on my table. Give me dual layer player boards, give me all of the things, and give me a couple hours of burning my brain. These things make me happy.
It's going to do all of the things that you just said. Obviously, I played the hell out of this there for a while. We did a stream of it during the campaign way back. It feels like it's been like about 12 years since that was. And then there were a couple of conventions I helped demo this for. Even though I don't have a dog in the fight, I'm a big fan of the game. It's about infrastructure within, Uruguay, right?
Uruguay. Yep.
Paraguay. Yep. Right. One of the Guays. So Julian is actually, he lives there. And thematically, there you go. There's Julian. Thematically, it fits, but yeah, it's very, look, I'm not trying to pigeonhole the game or whatnot, but if you like Lacerdas, you're going to like this type of game. If you don't, you're probably not going to be terribly akin to it or, a big fan of it. It's going to wreck your brain. It's going to hurt in all the ways that we want it to. It's electrical, wind power infrastructure in Uruguay. I know that doesn't sound terribly exciting unless you're weird like us and like really obscure themes like this and unique stuff. I've talked a lot about it. Go watch our stream. Some of the artwork has been updated since then and whatnot. But that said, I'm really looking forward to it. And it's a big box. Like surprising, like take an Eagle Griffin box and make it thicker. It's that size. It's a big box. I haven't touched on any of the expansions. I know nothing about them. But that said, I'm really looking forward to actually getting the final edition to be able to actually play it for real instead of just the prototype. I'm jonesing for it. It's one of my most anticipated games. And like I said, yes, we did a sponsored stream of it, but all that means is we got paid to stream it. I don't have to talk about it or say good things about it after the fact. I'm just really excited about it. So there you go. Cool. All right, JT, go.
I just remember debating the Pampero Kickstarter in my head, and I didn't back it, and I kind of regretted it ever since. So
hey, good news. You'll be able to play it at HeavyCon next year.
Awesome.
All right.
Okay, so I have two companies that when they publish something, I would just buy it probably without even knowing what the game is. And
Splotter and who else?
Splotter and Chip Theory Games. So Chip Theory has done games like Too Many Bones, Cloudspire, Burn Cycle. I have gotten all of these and I love them. The closet you see behind me is just full of Too Many Bones stuff. So their latest one that should come out this year is the Elder Scrolls from the I assume from the video game Betrayal of the Second Era. And if you pull this up on BGG, there's not actually a lot of pictures. If you want to go to the GameFound page,
all right,
it will have a better set of pictures.
All right.
But if
go ahead, yeah.
There's not. I don't know what else to say about this one. If you know Chip Theory Games, if you played their stuff and you like it, I assume that I'm going to love this one too. Their shtick is they have neoprene mats, they have poker chips with really excellent artwork stickers on them, and then all the cards and the player aids are all.
JT, I got a question for you. Do you like playing your board games in the bathtub?
Oh, so that's the only reason I got it. Is I was sitting in my bathtub one day and I just thought,
I need more bones. I need more bones in the bathtub.
Exactly. I think that was the original, like when they came out with their first games, was you could play this underwater, and that's not a selling point to anyone. But the components actually are really good, and I think the gameplay on all these are great. So it's compared most heavily to Too Many Bones, where you've got character development. It's kind of a skirmish style tactical game. And this is kind of building on that system where you're doing character development, building attributes of your characters using the dice and the mats. And then it looks like it's also got elements of Cloudspire and others or on Hoplomachus, where you've got a map of people moving around that isn't as simple as the battle map from Too Many Bones. So anyway, these are always really expensive games, but I have yet to be disappointed by them, and I hope that this one is similarly awesome.
I played this a year or two ago. I can't remember which one it was at PAX East. They had a rep out here and asked if I would sit down and play it. And I was like, hell yeah. Because back before I got into solo board games, I always felt that if I wanted to play a solo game, I would play Oblivion, or I would play something like RPG as a video game. And so I was like, okay, I'm definitely intrigued from this. And I thought it was pretty cool. It's very like there's always going to be some amount of overlap in solo games from one. It's not. What am I trying to say? It's almost impossible to have a completely, totally unique concept for a solo game because there's only so many different directions you can go. So this made me think of other kind of RPG-esque games. Looking at you, Mage Knight, completely different game, but also kind of gave me a Mage Knight type feel for it. But with the Too Many Bones, you know, it has the dice, it has the poker chips, it has all of that aspect. I dug it. I thought it was pretty cool. That was the only time I got to play it. I got to play one demo of it one time. I'm looking forward to trying it. And yeah.
Were you underwater at the time?
I was not, in fact, underwater at the time. And somebody is freaking out in chat, which and verifiable. JT, you mentioned it's going to be what kind of price point?
Yeah.
Shoot, I don't even remember. I just
Chip Theory price point.
Yeah, Chip Theory price point. No, dead serious, right? Because here, hold on, let me go back one page. Somebody was like, whoa. Did I see a base game pledge? $195? Yes. Yep. Yes, you did. Yes, the gameplay bundle.
What kind of sucker with self-control just gets the base game played?
Seriously. If you're going to do it, you're going to do the all-in bundle, which was $400.
Yeah, the only way is all the way.
Because if you're going to lean into it, loan into it, right?
Yeah.
Wow. That's so when I see stuff like this, now look, I am not eschewing, I am not play what you dig, invest where you dig, do your own thing. But when I see stuff like this that was a successful campaign making $4.5 million, when I see successful campaigns like this, it makes it a lot more palatable. It feels like that a game like Weimar that has $165 retail price almost feel like a bargain.
Yeah.
The question I have is that a good thing? I don't know. So anyway, but nonetheless, Elder Scrolls, I love the idea. That's a really big price point though, ain't it?
Yeah. I mean, you gave it the best compliment you can as you compared it to Mage Knight. So
there's that. That's it. I mean, because again, it's a fantasy RPG that can be soloed. And it's puzzly in that what's the best way to go about doing it. And at its very, very broken down core, that's what Mage Knight is. So anyway.
Now I know how many bones there are out in the world there, and the question, JT, is I'm pretty sure you are telling the truth. Is your closet actually full of too many bones? Like, does it actually go all the way to the top?
So the top shelf in the closet behind me is full of Too Many Bones. Yes.
Too many bones.
I believe I have every character expansion except for one.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's that. All right, cool.
Sorry.
No, you're fine. You're fine, Mike.
Yeah, I also had Cross Bronx Expressway on my list. We already talked about that. Unfortunately, I didn't get to play it at HeavyCon. But just to echo what Shrey had mentioned about like the theme and the period and kind of the tone of the game, super interested in that. So that was next on my list. I'll pivot to the next one, which for me is Arcs. I know it's starting to deliver right now, so maybe the anticipation is short-lived. Similar to JT, right? Splotter and Cole Whirly for me, right? I'm buying both of those kind of sight unseen. just need to see their name on a box, and I'm going to throw money at it. And big sci-fi fan. My group is a big sci-fi fan, so Arcs is something I think will resonate with them. Again, another game I haven't had a chance to play yet, but definitely interested in it. Love Root, love Oath, love PAX Premiere, love my one play of John Company second edition, and my maybe 2 plays of John Company first edition. So not that I expect Arcs to be like any of those, but it's coming from the same designers, mind and reputation. So I'm in.
When it showed up at my house yesterday, and I opened it up and I pull out, a roughly root size box, maybe a little thicker than a root size box. And it's like Arcs, Conflict and Collapse in the Reach. Cool. Base game. Then I look in there and I pull out again, like a Eagle Griffin style box out of there. And this is Arcs. I can't remember the name of the expansion. It's the expansion. It's the actual campaign part of Arcs. It's what makes, I guess, what makes Arcs Arcs. I kind of just had to laugh at the expansion box being like twice as big as the base game box. Is just super funny. And it's downstairs on my incoming game shelf. I'm super excited for it.
Because everybody has an incoming game shelf.
I have a problem, Edward. I have a problem. And, we can talk about it.
I enjoyed Arcs. I thought the trick-taking aspect, some people are arguing whether or not it's a trick-taking game. I think it is, at its core, if definition of what it is. I think it does that in a really, really interesting way. The rest of the game, base game I'm talking about, is fine. It's all stuff that and it's all very simple. The way that the trick-taking impacts the rest of the all fine, normal stuff that you've seen before is kind of the hook. And from what I've heard, the campaign is really where it's at, and a campaign is 3 games. Hopefully we're going to be doing something soon, very soon, on the channel for all of this. And once it hit the table at HeavyCon, it didn't leave the table at HeavyCon. It was basically in rotation for 5 days.
Right. Yeah. And I kept meaning to get back to it to try and find a seat, but I was too busy playing big epic games, chewing on all my days. So never got around to it, but I am excited to play it, to try it, and definitely the campaign as well.
This is my next one too.
I'll pass it over to Ken. I need to run to the restroom. I'll be right back.
Yeah, I specifically had Blighted Reach listed because that's really the game I backed for.
Yep.
I am.
That's the campaign, right? / expansion, whatever.
Yeah. I mean, I like the way Cole has been thinking about this idea. Like as I mentioned earlier, I love legacy games. He's been thinking about legacy games, right? Like Oath is one potential answer to what if legacy but not legacy, right?
Yeah.
And this is another answer, which is to say all right, well, let's do all the crazy stuff, but only for 3 games, and then you can reset it.
Yeah, legacy doesn't have to be 25 chapters where you destroy and tear up your game.
Right. Mm-hmm. And I don't really know what's in the box because, as is typical for his designs, he developed the crap out of it after the Kickstarter happened. So there's a bunch of stuff in there that
2 years,
I don't know about.
Right?
Yeah,
2 years, I think.
Very excited about it.
Yeah.
I gotta play. I have a play-in of the base Arcs, and it's cool. And I happily play it again. But what I'm really here for is the campaign. So super excited.
So here, I'll go ahead and plug a stream that we got coming up this week. We're gonna bring back Oath. Speaking of Cole's games, that'll be Tuesday. So we're jumping into a new chapter, 5-player this time. That many, 5. So
is that in prep for the expansion to bring awareness to the expansion? Not sponsored, but in the context of the expansion.
It's rugby season's over, so Kyle can is what that really is.
Sure.
But it just so happens to tie in with that timing. So if they would like us to do something with that, that'd be great. But we'll see. Ball's in their court. Yep. But yeah, I'm looking forward to digging into it more. And the reason it's not so, again, we as a collective group here, JT notwithstanding, we get spoiled in a lot of ways. like Civolution is one that I'm sure we're going to talk about here very, very soon because we need to wrap this up. But Civolution, I have half a dozen plays under my belt already, and it doesn't come out for another 4 months, right? Arcs, we've had that for a couple of months. Pampero. So these games that are on people's radar, I'm glad that y'all, and by y'all I mean they, are bringing this up because we've played them to a point to where now it doesn't feel like a new game as much. So a good problem to have, but it also y'all are helping me remember, oh, right, yeah, that hasn't come out yet, or it's just now hitting. So I'm glad that y'all are bringing these up because Arcs I wouldn't have thought of because, yeah, anyway, I sound like an entitled brat. I don't mean to. I'm just saying, it's the reality of things, right? It just is.
It's almost like it's your job.
Right, seriously. But yeah, so I think all of us are looking forward to digging into Arcs to some degree. So we'll see. And I'll be honest, I think the thing I'm most excited about is the fact that it's a 3-game campaign, as opposed to how long was Gloomhaven, Frosthaven?
Well, I mean, probably 45 scenarios, I think, to get through.
Right.
You know.
I mean, you could realistically do this in a fortnight with your game group, realistically. So that's cool. I think that's a step in the right direction.
That's another attractive point for me. I really like legacy games and campaign games, but they don't have staying power with my group. We'll play 4, 5, then it'll sit on the shelf, and then we'll try and get back to it a few weeks or months later, and everyone's kind of forgotten, what's been happening, and people lose interest. So it's hard for me to get long campaign. I mean, I'm playing Tamashii Chronicles of Ascend. We've played that like for the last 5 weeks, and it's great. It's fun, but I can see it fizzling out. And so a shorter campaign, I think will be a good game for my group.
I would argue most people are gonna have that sentiment. So yeah, who busted that one out? Because that could have been anybody.
That was me.
All right, Shrey.
All right. Well, I'm gonna lean back into the realm of U.S. civics and history and go with First Monday in October. This is by Talia Rosen and Fourth Circle Games. I think it's coming out this year. Hopefully, it is a themed around the Supreme Court and the history of it, taken up in 3 different eras: from the founding to the Civil War, and the Civil War to Brown versus Board of Education, and then from then into 2010s. I think the theme is fantastic to explore. I don't know much about the mechanics or how I'll connect with that, but this aspect of U.S. government and history is got a lot of history, a lot of depth there. So I'm hoping that it shines through. And it's the BGA page says Jason Matthews worked as lead developer, so that's always a good thing to have someone that strong in that role. So just really looking forward to seeing how this pans out.
And for those that don't know, Jason Matthews of Twilight Struggle fame, the way I see it is votes for women, like it's become a running joke in a positive way that we use the components for that in most streams. But that said, the production of that game and the way it tackles these historic topics and the way Fourth Circle is publishing these and having an attention to detail on this stuff, I'm super stoked for pretty much everything that they put out. I mean, from the Halls of Montezuma to, no, not to the Shores of Tripoli, but to Hunt for Blackbeard, to this, all of that. I think what Fourth Circle's doing is, honestly, it's bringing people into the war game side of things without them realizing it, which I'm all for it. I think that's a positive. And yeah, so I'm looking forward to this one. I'm glad you brought this up, Shrey.
I am not a teacher, but if I were, I would probably get fired because I'll be having my students play all kinds of board games, and they would be like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "I don't know, educating our youth." And they'd say, "Get out of here. Go run a YouTube channel."
So yeah, I dig it. Looking forward to this. All right, Paul.
Are we allowed to talk about Civolution? Should we talk about Civolution?
Go for it. Go for it.
Great. Then that I'm super hyped for that. I'm a low level Feldmaniac here with a bunch going up here. You know, the ones I like of his, I really, really like. You know, ones I don't like, whatever. But like the ones I like. And Civolution, I like. It was the last thing I got a chance to play, I think, but at the end of HeavyCon. I had to go, so someone else took over for me. And my understanding is they carried me over the finish line for victory, which feels good because I don't win big games like this very often. I enjoyed the hell out of this. It is everything together just fit so perfectly together. It's got dice selection like Castles of Burgundy. It's got tech trees. Who doesn't love a good tech tree? It's got moving around a map, but the moving around of the map, for a lot of what we think of as 4X games, a lot of moving around the map just kind of feels perfunctory. Like, oh, I'm going to go over there and flip over this tile, and it's going to be, you know, have a little bit of fields and a little bit of this and a little bit of that, and that the map exploration part does have a little bit of exploration. But it just feels, I don't like the word streamlined, especially with this game, but the unnecessary part of map exploration is stripped away, and what you're left with is just the important stuff. Now, anyone who has seen pictures of it can see that it is very large. It is definitely also the kind of game that you'll put down on the table and won't leave because it has embedded itself in the table, much like Excalibur in the stone. And it's definitely that you will have to extend your dining room table with wood and nails and glue. But I'm way excited for it. It is Stefan Feld at his biggest and most unleashed, but also at what to me feels like his least Stefan Feldy. Super pumped, super thrilled for it. I came away from it mega excited. Anyone else who had played it, feel free to chime in as well with other superlatives like mega.
I'll let all y'all do that while I do some stuff. So go ahead.
Yeah. No, I've had the opportunity to play this 3 times, and it's been a great game every single time. You know, I think if you like Feld games and you know, multiple ways to get victory points, but interesting ways to do that. And you're looking for him to
Eric says
make something big and with, you know, meaningful long-term decisions. I think this is something to pay attention to. It's coming out at Essen this year, so definitely worth trying. And I'm eager to play it more.
All right, so a couple things on this. I've been allowed to release this to the patrons. So here's a sneak peek for all y'all that aren't patrons. This is what it looks like. This is going to be a hard one to fit on the table. I'm not going to lie, to stream. And so let's see if I can make it a little bit bigger. There we go. So I've played this half a dozen times now. And boy. Whew. So how I was sold this game, or how I was described this game, I should say, is it's 45 minutes to an hour to teach, and it's about a 3-hour play. And it's a Stefan Feld Civ game. It's either you're gonna either dig that or you're gonna hate it. And there is so much that you can do in this game, but you don't have enough time to. It's either going to frustrate the hell out of you, or it's going to be like, oh my God, I can't wait to try that again to go in a different direction. It's an action selection game in that you have dice, you roll dice, and then whatever you roll, you then use 2 of those dice to do a host of 23 different actions in a civilization type thing. And you're going to be tucking cards, playing cards to your tableau, gives you special rule breakers, as well as, you know, your aforementioned temple tracks, which are, you know, on the left-hand side. And it flows really, really nicely. It works really, really well. And there is way too much to do in half a dozen games. There's still so many aspects of this that I have not gotten to yet that I cannot wait to get to. that I am really, really looking forward to. We just played this at game day yesterday. And so it is super fresh in my mind, and I can't wait to play it some more. It's definitely in my top 3 for most anticipated games. And like I said, and I've already played it half a dozen times. So that should tell you something. But then again, I really enjoyed Marrakesh too, which is Steffenfeld's last giant game. And this one puts that to shame as far as table space. It's about the same size. Although I will say the box size is great. It surprisingly shrinks down.
It's a smaller box than Marrakesh.
Oh, way smaller. Yeah.
A lot more on the table than Marrakesh.
Yes.
I would say probably the box probably comes up to about here from like.
I mean, it's your typical. It's like I'm looking at boxes there. It's a little bit thicker than Nucleum, but it's basically the Nucleum box there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there you go. But yeah, so I'm super stoked for it. I'm looking forward to it. And I did get permission from the CEO of Deep Print Games to release the previous play of Civolution for the patrons. I'm not going to do that, though. Instead, we're just going to stream it this week again for the patrons.
That's great.
Provided I get permission to do that. So I will find out by tomorrow. So there's that.
Well, I am envious of whoever gets to be on that stream.
It won't be you.
I know.
I say that because he's not available later in the week. Anyway,
not.
I'm curious. So people that aren't me, Shrey, and Paul, is this on your radar at all? I'm just curious. I don't care if it is. I'm just curious.
I have played it twice.
Yeah, I think the only barrier that I've had to playing it is finding a time to start the game that won't take it to midnight.
Fair.
Timing is everything. Yeah, but I'm very much looking forward to trying it out.
It doesn't feel like it takes a long time. It's just this unrelenting series of micro actions, and it's just so smooth.
I think that's a fair description. Yeah, micro actions. That's how they feel. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, I mean, if I showed up to game day and people wanted to play this, I would try it, but it's not something that's like. I have like a love hate with Civ games anyway. I want to like them, and then I play them, and I'm like, no, I don't want to play Civ games anymore.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't think it's something that's for me, but I mean, I'm not a snob. I'll play just about anything, just to have fun and socialize. So
the closest I can, it doesn't feel like a Civ game like you would expect. It's like how Through the Ages is technically, it's like a Civ game but without a map. Right. But like this Civolution, despite billing itself as a Civ game, it just doesn't feel like one. Like you don't have to keep your people happy. I think you have to feed them, but you don't have to keep them. You do
have to keep them fed.
Yeah.
But you don't have to keep them happy. That's true. That's a fair point. So, all right, cool. All right. So at this point, we're running a little long. So my question for y'all, and by y'all, I mean you, is there anything else that you absolutely feel like you need to bring to folks' attention?
Yes, 2 things.
Okay. We'll do it. Okay. Ken said no.
Nope, I'm good.
All right. Jackie, whatever you got, unload the barrel or unload the clip. Let's go.
I saved my best for last, so I feel like I can't not.
Okay.
Unconscious Mind. Unconscious Mind Kickstarter should be fulfilling later this year.
I want to know how that turned out.
Oh, me too. Andrew Bosley art, just the whole basis of the game is the era of Freud. Self-disclosure, I'm a therapist, so like you didn't have to say much beyond that. But it's Euro with worker placement elements. You're treating clients, you're interpreting dreams. It's like the whole birth of the psychoanalytic movement, which is really cool. Looking at the components as you're interpreting these dreams, you're taking these transparent layers off cards, almost in like a canvas kind of component sort of way. I'm psyched. And so
the taking of layers off of cards, is that a new thing they introduced? Because I don't remember seeing that in the Kickstarter. Is that a thing?
It was in
Okay, I missed it.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. Oh my god, I don't remember what
I'm all in on this. I think this is a fascinating idea and concept.
Didn't you didn't you stream it?
Hell
Prototype?
no. Nope.
Am I high right now? I really felt like we.
I thought maybe.
I mean, it depends. Are you on
I
the job
really
right
thought
now?
you did.
I swear to God, I have not.
No.
Or am I high? I mean, like, no.
Search your unconscious mind. I think you did.
Seriously?
Who
No.
doesn't-
I'm telling you,
Oh,
I have
boy.
not. Look, I have a trouble remembering games that we played even last week. I get that, but no, a Freud game like this sounds awesome. I'm looking at it. First, I'm seeing it. I'm all about it. So, Jackie, thank you.
Yeah.
I cannot wait to try this. I am stoked.
We're in agreement there then.
All right, dig it. All right. But yeah, no, all of y'all are wrong. I'm just saying.
I think
All right,
I think it
JT.
might have been in an alternate live tabletop streaming YouTube channel.
No, was it? I think I'm thinking of. I think it's a Hollenspiel game where it's a solo game about. It was something
Yes.
about overcoming some sort of mental injury.
Brain injury.
Yeah.
Heading forward.
There it is.
Heading forward.
It's right there
yes.
behind me.
Yes.
Never mind, you're right.
That was awesome. That was a lot of fun. About having a limited number of spoons and all 9 yards. I thought that was great. The concept behind that and the fact that that's a game, I think is amazing. That is fantastic. But
Yeah.
that is not unconscious mind. So that said, JT, do you have anything that you absolutely want to plug or like bring to people's consciousness?
Look, just 15 more, so bear with me.
All right, here we go. Let's go.
Okay, Purple Haze from Phalanx. It is a narrative-driven tactical squad-level war game. It's a little bit like Ambush, if you remember that from back in the day, but it is actual squad-level combat with a very narrative element tied into it. The other one I would mention is Fighting Formations. It's the U.S. 29th Infantry Division. So Fighting Formations is a game by Chad Jensen.
I was
Late
going to
Chad
say
Jensen.
that's an older game, right? Yeah.
It is. Think Combat Commander plus vehicles and other stuff. And GMT is continuing that series with a new entry in it. It'll be a standalone game. It's been hard to get a hold of the old one, but this is a new unit that they are going to follow in this game, and it should be available this year, I hope. And then Twilight Struggle South Asian Monsoon. So they just, I think it was last year, published a Twilight Struggle game that was a shorter but just as meaty in its decision making as its big brother for the Horn of Africa. This is in the South Asian area around India, and it's in that same vein of having, I think, two turns instead of 5 or 6, and you can play it in about an hour or so. But the other one they did was so good, I'm really excited about this one too. So those are the others I'm going to mention.
2 things: Purple Haze, the fact that like a narrative type driven game a la Ambush, but more in a modern idea, I think is awesome. I cannot wait to try that. I have played Twilight Struggle South Asian Monsoon, played it with Jason Matthews and Jason Carr, who's head of development at GMT. They were at Circle DC. I played this against another professional wargamer who designs war games for the DoD, and listening to them talk about the history of this, which I'm completely ignorant about this part of the Cold War, was fascinating, and like a top 10 board gaming moment of my life was listening to them chop shop on how to make the game better, but also hear these very, very intelligent people talk about the events in this game and why this is funny and this and that and whatever. The way it was described, South Asia, Twilight Struggle South Asian Monsoon was a smaller but not lesser Twilight Struggle. If you are familiar with Twilight Struggle, it will feel familiar, but it's completely different, and it's smaller but not easier.
Yeah, and that's what I liked about the one about Africa. It was smaller. The rule set was all the same. It was just a smaller map, smaller game, smaller time frame. But everything else was I felt like I was playing Twilight Struggle in it.
It's truncated in that it's shorter, and it does have a much smaller, like fewer number of spaces and less areas that you need to focus on. But it is different, and they're far enough away from it being published to where they're still. fighting with the design in a sense that, like, I have this terrible card that I don't want to play. I'm just going to space race it. We kept saying that, and it kept pissing off the Jasons in a way that, no, it's not a space race, it's this. So it got to the point to where they're like, we're changing this. And they were like sitting there trying to figure out a way to make it more meaningful without and being different enough from Twilight Struggle. So it was really interesting to hear, but also it makes Twilight Struggle feel more approachable as somebody who's not a Twilight Struggle expert. Because if anybody watched Ken eviscerate me in our last play of Twilight Struggle, he has, 50 games of it under your belt? Thereabouts?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, I have 4.
In fairness, though, the first time we played on stream for patrons only, we stopped.
Closer.
We stopped like halfway through. I think you were ahead at that point, so... Yeah,
he's being
closer.
Very nice to you.
He really is. But the point is, I feel like that this would level the playing field a bit. So that's nice. So that's a positive. Anyway, that I just got excited because I have firsthand account of that one. And there you go. Cool. Thank you, JT. Mike, anything else?
No, I came with 5. I took the assignment seriously.
I appreciate you. I appreciate you. All right, Shrey.
I did not take the assignment seriously, and I came up with 18. But I'll mention 3 or 4 more.
Okay.
So Black Forest is. I remember hearing about Black Forest many years ago. It's a Nouveau game that he was designing at the same time as Glass Road, and has a lot of similarities to Glass Road apparently. Another designer, co-designer, another person became a co-designer, Tito Lorenz, so they picked it up and have developed it further, and it's coming out this year. Looking forward to that.
Like Glass Road 2.0, kind of?
Maybe, but I think it's pretty. It sounds like it's pretty detached from Glass Road at this point.
Okay, all right.
So we'll see.
I mean, the pictures are very Glass Road-esque.
Yeah. Then the SETI, Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligence, which we got to play at the Gathering. It's by Tomasz Holek. It's coming out from Czech Games. It's a solid Euro. It's worth checking out for anybody who likes Euros. It flows really nicely. So it'll be. I think it'll be a hit when it comes out.
I agree. I enjoyed the mechanisms of it. I will say I feel like it was a letdown. The big reveal. They had so much more that could have been. So I was a bit disappointed in that.
And they are doing more development on it right now. So
let's hope because
that gets fleshed out a bit more. Yeah.
Agreed. Keep going.
A couple of lighter games. Fishing by Friedman Freeze. I'm pretty much always interested in anything he does, and we got to play this at the Gathering. Also, it's a trick-taking game coming out from him, and anybody who likes trick-taking games should check this one out. It's definitely interesting. It's good. Then there is another Race for the Galaxy expansion coming out, Xeno Counter-Strike, which expands the Xeno Invasion arc. So it makes the tableau could get ridiculously sized with this. And if you like Race for the Galaxy, it's something you should try. You may not like it because it makes the game much longer and it'll make the tableau much bigger. But I'm all for that.
More if you like race, more race is a good thing, I think, right?
Yep. And the last one I'll mention is an expansion, which I don't know if we'll get it in English anytime soon, but is the Anno 1800 expansion. There's only been announced in German, and people have asked, and Cosmos has not responded to when we get an English version. But I know Anno 1800 is one of those games that came out and always enjoyed the plays. There was some things that we felt needed tweaking, and also maybe an expansion adds some more diversity to the game. So want to check this out if we can get a copy and get paste ups for the text and integrate it into the base game. Hopefully it'll come out in English. We'll see.
If anyone has not played the video game, it is a fantastic game. It was my obsession for months. It's a great game. Definitely you will lose all of your free time digging into that game. There's so much content.
What do you got, Paul?
I got 2 games, and I think they're related. The first is Molly House. I'm excited for Molly House. Again, Cole Worley. I see that. I'm a simple man. I see Cole Worley. I hit that big blue button. I'm very intrigued by the subject. I am very clumsy when it comes to describing this kind of stuff. But the best I can conjure up as a way to describe it is it is a kind of a very, I don't even know what the year it is. It's like the late 1700s, early 1800s, London, I think, where you had the cities were getting bigger, people were getting more anonymous, and people were kind of free to kind of congregate in groups that they otherwise wouldn't have been able to. And out of that came what were referred to as Molly houses, where people of queer persuasion could get together and be who they wanted to be without necessarily too much scrutiny. But that is kind of the hook of the game. Is there are the police. I've lost the name of them, but they're like Police for Civil Manners or something like that.
Society for the Reformation of Manners.
There it is. And the thing that that seems interesting to me is the gameplay seems to me, I have not seen video of it played yet, but it seems to be like a communal, almost like a trick taking, but almost, or maybe like you're collaborating together in order to create the best possible combination of cards in order to have a successful party. But then cards that are not accepted for the party could potentially be used against you. And the game, the mechanics of the game will then allow you to be offered to be an informant so that you could maybe inform on the people, the frequenters of these establishments. You don't have to, but you could if you wanted to. And according to Cole Worley, you could end up playing the game thinking that everybody has become an informant, and it turns out nobody has been an informant, and you have just been very paranoid, or everybody has played a certain way. I honestly don't know a whole lot about it. I'm having a hard time parsing how the game is actually going to play out. But again, Cole Worley takes historical matters very seriously. I have John Company and Pax Pamir downstairs. I don't know how much they'll get played, but I feel like they're very important to have and very important for these games to continue to be made. And I will continue to support them anytime someone takes new subjects like this seriously enough to try to make a big production board game. I think
it's amazing that we can be in a hobby that this becomes a game. In a positive way, right? And 100%. By the way, it is late 17th, early 18th century. What was your second game?
The game that I think might be related to it is called Surfasaurus Max. And Surfasaurus Max is also, it's a very serious game. No, it is, but it is a game about collectively putting cards in, like what I feel like Molly House might be, where you are all trying to contribute cards to a common hand. It's a light game. You're trying to contribute cards to this common collection of cards, and once the required number of cards for the round have been played, the best poker hand is made out of that, and whoever contributed the most cards or the best cards to that hand is going to score the most points.
I played this at the Gathering, and it really, really clever. Really clever little card game.
Here's the thing that sucks. Last I heard, it is going to be published here in the US, but not called Surfasaurus Max. It is going to be given the very generic name of Combo, and I believe the art is going to be very abstract and very like numbers and colors.
Yeah,
I don't love that.
It's totally changing.
It's like fruit. The suits are fruit.
Yeah. Don't love it.
So the only downside to as the picture I'm showing right there is it was really hard to really parse what suit a given card was because of they could have kept the theme, just changed a couple of the colors, and it would have been awesome. And I think that's the direction they should have gone. The fact that they're changing it, I think it's going to do a disservice to the game.
Yeah, people are going to see this game. They imagine in an alternate universe, Surfasaurus Max, I will purchase that. I don't even need to know what the game is about. But now it's like Combo. I no what that is.
Yeah. Oh, there you go. I think that's the newer version.
And I'm trying not to have too strong a reaction to it, but like, no thanks.
All right, so I got a couple now that y'all didn't hit on, but you were going to, but for whatever reason didn't. Weimar Republic from GMT, going to be different than Weimar, from Spielworks/Capstone. I'm curious. I'm now into that part of history that I was a complete gap in my knowledge, but now that I know about it, I'm in for this one. So Weimar Republic. Is it too soon to mention Madeira?
It might slip to 2025.
Ask Tinu Z. Tinu Z might be able to help you out.
Okay. Huh. Anyway,
Hey, Weimar Republic is on my list too. That's what I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, I am too. Full disclosure, we're probably going to cover these next two, but I feel like that I would be remiss if I don't talk about them. Epos, which is supposed to be a campaign/legacy Gentis game. We're going to be getting that in the next month or two, and then it's going to be hitting crowdfunding. I'm not quite sure how it's going to work. I don't know a ton about it coming from Spielworks, but we'll see. I'm looking forward to trying it. So there's that.
Yeah, I like Gentis back in the day. It's a solid game. I always wanted to try it more. So
I thought it was fine, but I'm very curious to see how this direction goes for it. So Epos. Another is one that I think Shrey played this with me, maybe, or maybe played it at a separate. Anyway, at the Gathering, Shackleton Base, which is Fabio Lopiano's upcoming game from Sorry We Are French, based on, or it's about the possible base in the future on the moon. Pretty cool idea. Hard game in a good way, but hard game. I enjoyed my one play of that, and you just hit on Molly House, so that was the other one that I was going to touch on. So there you go. That's it. I'm sure there are others. So if you're watching, leave comments down below on what your most anticipated games are, and yeah, anything else for y'all? Okay, cool, awesome. Hey, thanks to these people for taking the time to do this. I really appreciate it. Late on a Sunday evening, so thank you, y'all. Thanks to everybody that watched it. Hopefully you found some games that maybe whetted your appetite or maybe boosted what was already on your list. But definitely curious to hear what other people think. I'm Edward. These are these people. Paul, Ken, Jackie, JT, Mike, Shrey, and the rest of the Heavy Cardboard group that chimed in with thoughts that couldn't make it tonight. Really, really appreciate it. Thanks everybody for watching. Like, subscribe, consider supporting the show, patreon.com/HAHQ. I'm taking tomorrow for Behind the Scenes Day, and we will be back later this week with what? We got Oath coming this week. We have Dominant Species, because people hadn't played it before. We also have, if you're a patron, we're going to be doing another coin game this week. And yeah, other stuff coming. So that's a wrap. Thanks everybody for watching. We'll see y'all later. Have a good evening, everybody.
Dominant Species.